Have you also tried, like I have, to do affirmations and they simply haven't worked? Not the way that you expected, and it's actually created more stress because you've been wondering why. This video is telling you, or my experience of why, to give you some thought and things to think about and what you can do to turn that around. Welcome, I'm Chantal, holistic counsellor here at Unfold Your Freedom and an Akashic record reader. Now, I've been working in business for a long time and I got caught up in doing all these positive affirmations, all about mindset and all around, whether it be success in my business or healing or around money, that you'll attract what you want, the law of attraction. What you think will become real. And I found it didn't work for me and I could never understand why. And what it did was it triggered more shame. It meant that I was not doing something right. So it took me right back into childhood trauma. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually experiencing trauma at the time, which I knew because I had complex PTSD after a car accident. But what I didn't realize was that this is one of the reasons why they didn't work for me at that point in time, until I had the realization that for affirmations to work, yes, you might need to hear what other people say, their affirmations, but you've got to then make them your own. So I was just reciting them and trusting that they would change, and they didn't, because I had them cognitively here, like I had this knowledge, these words that I was saying, but I didn't own them. I didn't believe in them. They weren't mine and my words, and particularly not at that time. So that might be why. So I want to take you through what it is. So obviously, positive affirmations are about reinforcing positive beliefs, but I found for me, it actually reinforced my negative beliefs, which was the opposite. And it can help. And I do believe this now that I'm doing it. It does reshape patterns, beliefs, the way you think, the way you are in the world. But remember, and I've done a video on this, on toxic positivity, that it can also be, you can be too positive and actually bypassing what is actually you're feeling in here. Again, I had no idea about this. So it took me a long time to understand that and get out of that way of getting caught up in other people's stories, beliefs, and I had to do this to find it my own way. And am I more optimistic? Yes, I am. Am I a lot more positive? Yes, I am. But there's times when I'm not, and that is important to remember. And that's again that toxic positivity and even spiritual bypassing, which again I've spoken about, that negates all of those emotions. It's all about love and light, positivity, when life isn't actually like that, particularly when you're healing from trauma, grief, bereavement, anything that's really powerful in your life. You've got to also be realistic about it. Okay, so what you do here is you focus on your desired outcome, and that'll help reshape it. Now, I still find that quite difficult. I do a lot of meditation on them. I do a lot of tapping. So these are the ways that I help myself to do these things, to release, keep releasing. Why don't I fully believe that? What is happening that I'm not? To allow the underlying negativity that's still there to be released. And then, as I said, I create my own. And what these positive affirmations do, they actually change your, like I call it, my brain waves, your neural connections. So if you're constantly repeating them, that's what will start happening, or create new ones. But again, remember, you've got to believe them and own them for them to do. And sometimes you need to start with something. So some sentence, even if you don't quite believe it, write them out. Now I've been taught to do it like, you can do as many times as you want, but one is 111 times. And what I found was, as I took someone else's idea, I then created my own as I went along, and then it changed, and then that is what felt right. Then I could go and write them out in my own way. And remember, positive affirmations will always change as you change. You won't always stay the same way. So that's one way of doing it. And it's about having a constructive dialogue with yourself. Because if you think about it, if you pause for a moment now and tune into your mind and your thinking, have a look at what's actually there. It's often destructive. I know mine was for a long time, and I didn't realize I had this constant loop going on, constant negativity. So this is what helps you with healing, with other modalities, to change, to create a constructive dialogue with yourself, not that constant negative one in the background. And it creates a sense of empowerment, a sense of confidence, a sense of delight in life, and it is very empowering. Oh, let's see what else. And what it does, you need, as I said, you need to personalize them so they resonate with your own journey, healing journey, spiritual journey, whatever that is for you. Okay, so I'm going to now look at what, as I said, the negatives now, and how this can be when you have gone through trauma. So I will talk about that. So, and I'll give you also my experience. So when I was going through trauma, what I didn't realize was that these positive affirmations were contradicting my actual traumatic experience, not just my experience, my traumatic one. So as I said, it created an intense emotional experience, intense feelings of shame, as I already mentioned. And it actually, in my case, did worsen how I was feeling. But I kept persevering because I didn't get it. I didn't have discernment or discrimination to know when to stop at that point in time, because my brain was so fogged that I felt that's what I needed to do. That was another way of helping me that at the time wasn't beneficial. So you need to find someone, potentially, whether it be a counselor or support, who can support you in finding, or supporting you in finding your own way of saying things slowly. Doesn't happen overnight, and just saying them to yourself constantly, looking at the mirror, writing them down, doesn't necessarily change it unless you change what's going on underneath. As I said, it can unintentionally invalidate what you're feeling, and it dismisses what you're feeling, how you are legitimately feeling. Again, that is that toxicity of how you're really feeling. And it takes courage to admit that. It takes courage to go, no, actually, that doesn't feel right for me, particularly when you've gone through trauma. And what it does, as I said, it overemphasizes the positivity, and which then creates pressure of constantly doing it. Why is it not working? Then you keep going on this loop. So I actually stopped doing them for a while. I just had to step back from everything, stop doing them, just really work deep within here. Now I can bring them back in because I'm aware, and I write what feels right for me. As I said, I shift them around a little bit. So, as I said, relying solely on affirmations can, and it did, divert you from the necessary process. So from the process of addressing and processing your trauma, as already mentioned. All right, so this is why it is important. And I know for me, it also created, as I said, shame, it created anxiety, panic attacks, and sometimes it can actually re-traumatize, or you can re-experience traumatic memories. So I suppose for me, what it did was, I re-experienced childhood beliefs of myself, not being good enough, clearly not intelligent, what's wrong with me, all those things came into play. And I felt, oh, how can I put this? My painful emotions, only looking back now, weren't being honored and accepted, let alone by myself. So I felt even more burdened. So it actually created a heaviness rather than a lightness of being. So there's that side of it. But again, you know, if you have resistance and conflicting beliefs, well, of course, they're not going to work, okay, because it's incongruent with you. Let's see, again, don't just say it mechanically without true belief or feeling. Okay, I might be repeating myself. So as I said, negative self-talk, just being positive might not be sufficient. Get help. You do need to look at the underlying, and it needs to, as I said, they're most effective when they're aligned with your actions, aligned with your beliefs. So you actually need to take tangible steps to do something. It's like when I talk about intuition, it's all very well to hear and listen, but you need to do something about it. You need to actually take action, respond to it for things to actually change. And that is when it starts to change, all right? And again, make sure you have realistic expectations on this. So any comments, please let me know. I'd love to hear what positive affirmations you have and what you've changed over the years. And let's keep this conversation happening, because I think it's really important for us to know the positives of things in our lives of healing, and also the negatives. I do call them negatives because this can actually hold you back. Thank you for witnessing me and listening. And again, subscribe if you want to know more about what I do. Got plenty of other videos around trauma and how you can support yourself, and look at positive affirmations in a whole different way, ones that you can own. Thank you.